Good morning, Cubs fans. Unfortunately, your bad dream continues. The Cubs drop another one. This might have been the most heartbreaking one of them all. Fall to the Giants 7-6 after finally breaking through with a few big offensive hits. One of them from Ian Happ. The Cubs still find a way to spoil it. Hector Neris, another blown save. The Cubs 16th on the year. Is it time to look elsewhere in the back end of the bullpen? We're going to talk about that. We're also going to get into that home plate umpire situation that pretty much forced me to believe that robot umpires have to be on the way. That and more on this edition of the Cubs Baseball Channel. Make sure to like and subscribe. Get in the comment section and vent with us because we're all hurting after that one yesterday. But here is your invitation to our show. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Cubs Baseball Channel. My name's Anthony Pasquale with the great Mick Gillespie. He's on Twitter at Broadcaster Mick, and I'm at Ant_Pasquale3. Make sure to follow us there because some of our thoughts that we don't share on this show, we definitely put out there. So make sure to follow us on those accounts. But Mick, boy, that sucked yesterday. I don't know how else to say it.
Yeah, so many different things. First off, you said a demoralizing loss. I mean, it's a tough one to come back from. The team fought hard. They still can't hit. I mean, I know they scored some runs, but the starting pitcher has been, no matter who it is, it always just seems like that guy's Cy Young that night. Can't do anything with them. Then they get the lead, they blow it, they get the lead. And then the way that they blew it was awful. But the home plate umpire stunk. I mean, the Giants manager got thrown out. And then all of a sudden the bad calls come to the Cubs. It was the pitch that you can't sit there and say that it was just the Cubs that got bad calls. That was just a really bad night behind the plate.
Yeah.
But the should have walked Patrick Wisdom in the ninth. Maybe you come back and win. I don't know. But that was bad. Amaya with the catcher's interference when you get the first out in the ninth and everything's going your way. And then all of a sudden, what are you doing, man? How can you not?
Yeah.
Are you going to grab the bat? I mean, what are you doing? But that's just who he is. I mean, we talked about it before. He's so overmatched in the big leagues right now. It's because the Cubs don't have another option there. But I'd have lost in this. Obviously, it's the home run by Happ. But it's just another loss. And now all of a sudden you're starting to get buried in losses.
Yeah, absolutely. We talked and we've been talking about how something needs to change. I switched something up, got a little haircut, went with the mullet. I went to the
mullet.
I went to the mullet because they always talk about business in the front, party in the back. And that's what the Cubs need. They need the late innings to go better. They need big hits in big spots. They need the bullpen to lock it down. They need to start playing the game with a mullet lifestyle, and they just haven't done it. So I'm hoping that this can maybe propel them. But like we said, Cubs lose to the Giants 7-6 last night. We talked about this already. The home plate umpire was
the mullet lifestyle.
The home plate umpire really bad.
A mullet.
Yeah, he needs to figure it out for sure. But let's talk about this. Hector Neris folds in the ninth after a huge 3-run homer from Ian Happ. Gives the Cubs a 6-3 lead. Mark Leiter allows 1 run in the 8th. You're still up by 2, which is why we've been talking about it's so important to give these bullpen guys 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 run leads because they can afford to give up a run. But turned out yesterday they couldn't afford to because Hector Neris put 2 guys on and then gave up a 3-run homer. Another blown save for him. As a team, the Cubs have now blown 16. Neris folds once again. His ERA is 4.73. That's his 4th blown save of the year. I'd be shocked, and I think the Cubs would be doing themselves a disservice if the next save situation does not go to Tyson Miller.
Well, Tyson Miller's been, really fantastic, but he hasn't been in those type of high leverage situations. Although he's been so good. I don't think they're going to pull Neris from the closer spot. Craig Counsell talked about it after the game, and he's like, look, we're just trying to get 27 outs, and they don't have a lot of options. I mean, this bullpen's just not that good. Hayden Wesneski comes in and just typical. He gives up a home run the minute you get the lead. So frustrating because he just does that every single time. And it's like, he just leaves the ball out over the plate. Neris had it was bad luck. It wasn't his fault that Amaya stuck his glove and hit the guy's bat. Right. That's the first one. They did walk the second guy after that. And then that, I thought, and like Counsell said, I thought that was a bad one. And then the wind's blowing out at Wrigley and everything's flying and he gives up the home run. I mean, he's been flirting with danger a lot this year.
Yeah, heart attack Hector.
Man, it couldn't have come at a worse time too. But I look at Wesneski and it's like the minute you do anything, like he's the opposite of a shutdown guy. Like the minute you get the lead and you bring him in, like it's so fast. Like it's like the first pitch he gives up the home run that gives up the leads. It's like all the time, like. Oh.
Yeah, I'm trying to look at it now. Wesneski has allowed a home run in 4 of his last 5 pitching appearances. So and he's supposed to be your 7th inning guy. You bring the guy into the game and he's just putting him on a tee for the other team.
Yeah.
And that's not good. Like Mark Leiter Jr. doesn't really have it right now. Hayden Wesneski doesn't have it right now. Hector Neris doesn't have it right
Mark
now.
Leiter Jr. did a really good job in the game. I mean, compared to the rest of the guys, he got a 1-2-3 eighth. I mean, at some point would have just not throw him back out there in the 9th. Maybe you just let him go 2 innings.
Yeah.
Run the hot hand, but he did give up a home run, right? So I guess there's one of them back. I don't know, man. Like
it's tough because like your 7, 8, 9, like even the year that they tore it all down, your 7, 8, 9 was Chafin, Tepera, and Kimbrel, and you at least felt good. Like if you took a lead into the 7th. They have no confidence in their 7th, 8th, and 9th inning guys. And they must have even less confidence in the rest of the bullpen because these are the guys that are out there blowing the lead every single night. Like
too, man.
Luke Little couldn't get out of an inning. And all your other bullpen pieces are like former starters or might go back into the rotation or like, with Wesneski and Brown and Hendricks and Smiley. It's tough. And you said it. I don't want this to get lost. Ian Happ played hero yesterday. He just won't get credited as a hero because the Cubs end up losing the game. But give some credit to Seiya Suzuki too. He had a really big hit in the game, but Ian Happ's 3-run homer opened things up. Unfortunately, a 3-run lead heading into the 8th wasn't enough for the Cubs bullpen, but got to give some kudos to Ian Happ. This team has been lifeless, but he's provided some offense.
Yeah, he has. And I mean, we talk a lot about him, and I know he's not, I think Cubs fans are probably 50-50 on him. I mean, not to say they don't like him, but, him getting a contract with a no trade clause and everything. But, man, I mean, honestly, like when you look at the way that things have gone, I mean, he tries to carry this team to wins. Like no one else is doing it. He hits a 3-run bomb. I mean, he hit some home runs against the Cardinals. He's honestly, if a couple other guys would just chip in and do something like he does, then, maybe it wouldn't be as bad as it's gotten right now. But now I wanted to go back to the bullpen really quick because I know a lot of you guys ask, like, what are the alternatives? What is out there in AAA that might be able to help? And I know that that's got to be a question that the Cubs are asking. I start with CJ Edwards. I mean, he's got a 1.85 ERA. He's saved 7 of 8 games. I know he's walked some batters, but he struck some batters out. I mean, to me, he's got to be better than some of these guys that they have in the major leagues right now.
And then I think you have to also point to Ethan Roberts, who the Cubs recently selected to the 40-man roster. They DFA'd Quas. I know you talked about it on the channel the other day, but he had a minor league opt-out by the end of June. That he had to decide if he was going to pursue free agency with another team. And he's pitching well enough where he should be in the big leagues relatively soon, recovering from an injury, but he's flown through single and double A into AAA. And he's been great. So that's another guy who's now on the 40-man. You've mentioned Michael Arias as well. They just recently signed Jorge Lopez, the former Met, who was an all-star 2 years ago, was
Right.
having an okay year this year, and then had that meltdown when he threw his glove into the stands.
Yeah.
But that's another guy. They've been stockpiling these minor league arms. At some point, you got to give him a shot because what you've been rolling out isn't good enough.
Yeah, right. Michael Arias has done really well in his 6 innings in Iowa. 150 ERA, but the walks are up there. He's got 6 walks in 6 innings. I mean, they've got to throw strikes to be successful. But yeah, I mean, they're trying to stockpile these guys and find other options. And, and then you try to figure out who you can put on the 40-man roster to do that. But I mean, if it was me, I'd probably go with CJ Edwards, find a way to get him up there. And I mean, I can't imagine it being worse than what's going on right now.
Exactly. And you can't keep putting not only the team, but us fans through this night after night where you have it, like we've talked about, every game goes the same way. You either have like no offense at all and your pitching is good enough to win, or you finally get some big hits. Michael Busch with a 2-run homer, Seiya Suzuki, a game-tying hit, Ian Happ, a 3-run homer, and you find a way to blow that game too. It's just you can never get all 3 facets working.
Yeah.
But you need to soon because, like you said, you're really starting to get buried in the loss column. You have the 7th highest payroll in baseball and the 2nd worst record in National League. That's unacceptable. It's unacceptable. And Jameson Taillon said 2 days ago after his start, we can continue to try to assess what the issues are, but at the end of the day, we're big leaguers and we have to start putting W's in the win column. And that's true. Like, you can talk about who's at fault and if it's Counsell or Jed or Dansby or whoever, but at some point they have to start winning games. And Jed Hoyer talked yesterday to the media for a long time, talking about how they're going to look elsewhere to get upgrades, but they're only going to go as far as their offense, which is the current team, and those guys need to be better. And they just haven't. And it's been really frustrating. Got to give some credit to Javier Assad, though. He was excellent again yesterday, lowered his season ERA to 2.75 with 5 innings of 1-run ball. Really good again, 7 strikeouts, I think only 2 walks. You're getting quality starts night after night from these guys, Taillon, Assad, Steele, Imanaga, and you can't find ways to turn them into wins, even when your offense gives you 7 runs, or yesterday when your offense gives you nothing and the bullpen was good. Like, it's just it's been brutal as of late.
Yeah. Look, I saw the press conference with Jed Hoyer, and I mean, he looks spooked, and I don't blame him. I mean, what are the answers? I watch Craig Counsell. You know this. I watch the press conference that he does every night. Like, I have to see what I'm trying to read his body language. I'm trying to listen to what he's saying.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't have answers for this. They just don't. There's just no answers for this. They didn't see this coming. They had no idea that this would not be able to hit. Now, they got some hits last night, but then the bullpen's bad. I guess they thought, well, maybe, the bullpen would be able to follow suit what it did last year or get close to it, but it just hasn't. But the problem is that, losing is one of those things that just keeps on magnifying itself, and it's like they find normally the losses are, well, we're just going to score a couple runs and then they're going to score a couple, but they're going to score 1 more than us and we're going to lose like that.
Mm-hmm.
Last night was one that was really tough because they scored the runs and they still couldn't hold on to it. They still could not hold on to a 3-run lead in what I call the business end of the game, which is the 8th and 9th inning. And the reason I call it the business end is because that's when the business gets done.
Yeah.
The Cubs don't have an answer. I can tell. I look at him. It's like Jed Hoyer's like, well, you know what? If we could add somebody to it, but, talking about, if they go out and make a trade. If they go out and make a trade, and what is it going to do?
I'm sort of getting to that point too. Like, it's one of those things, like, there's really nowhere to put somebody unless, like, and if you do, it'd be giving up on somebody that Hoyer has obviously put a lot of faith in. Like,
a lot of money in.
And a lot of money in. They've had
teams in baseball. I mean,
exactly.
Got some poor roster.
Yeah, they have no answer for this because they didn't foresee, like, maybe you foresee one guy regressing, but top to bottom, 1 through 9, everybody's worse than they were last year. And you banked on giving an 83-win team to Craig Counsell and letting him swing the close games in your favor, but you turned out that you gave him like a 75-win team, and he can't do much with it. And you're trying to figure out who to blame. And yeah, sure, you could go make a move, but who of the $1 million contracts are you going to remove to make that move? And is it Suzuki? Is it Horner? Like, what are you going to choose to do? And then the other thing is, if it goes to the point where you're trying to sell, nobody on this lineup has any value to get rid of because they all can't hit.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Somebody else is going to they're going to get whoever you're trading at a rock bottom price.
Yeah.
And the other thing, which has started everything, like, because he even said he's right. They hit in April and they just haven't hit. It's been like 50 games now where they haven't hit.
Yeah.
But the injuries mounting up. And guess who got injured this time? Mike Tauchman, and he hustles, is busting it up the first base line. We all love that. As Cubs fans, we've always loved guys that run and play hard, and gets to first. And, he knows right away. And I've had that injury before in football. And immediately when you get that groin pull that you're in trouble.
It's no fun.
One of those injuries, I don't know how bad his is or isn't, but I'm telling you, if it's like the one I had, it takes a long time to get over it. It just doesn't go away.
Yeah, the silver lining there is you have Pico Armstrong on your roster, and he'll immediately slide into the lineup more. And you're also loaded with outfield prospects that are hitting the shit out of the ball in the minor leagues. You've got Owen Caissie, you've got Brennan Davis, you've got Alexander Canario. So should Tauchman need to go to the injured list, one of those guys will get called up very soon. Not that you ever want anybody to get hurt, but an outfielder getting hurt was probably the best case scenario. Just based on
somebody's going to get hurt, right?
If somebody's going to get hurt. But we've talked about this before. The greatest thing about baseball is they play every day, and the Cubs have a chance again today to hopefully right the ship. I'm going to the game tonight, and I will say, I'll just throw it out there. The last 2 times I've gone, Michael Busch walk-off, Mike Tauchman walk-off. So hopefully things are in store. I've got the Justin Steele All-Star shirt on today.
Nice.
He's on the bump for the Cubs. Really good pitching matchup. Both guys finished top 5 in the NL Cy Young voting last year. Logan Webb going for the Giants. He's 6-5 on the year with a 3.02 ERA. Bellinger's faced him a lot from his time in LA. A few other Cubs have decent numbers against him. I think Nico Horner's hit him pretty well. Ian Happ has a homer against him so far. And for Steele, he's going up against this Giants team that he shredded last year, struck out 12 in 8 innings. So hopefully more of the same from Steele, and the Cubs can get back in the win column.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I hope that it happens, and we'll see. I mean, this is the life of a Cubs fan, getting a good dose of it so far this year. I've lived a lifetime of this, but I'll tell you what, I mean, I don't know. I really thought that this team was going to be a much better club than they're playing right now. And I just don't know what the front office is looking for answers. Craig Counsell's looking for answers. You can feel it when you see these guys. I'm sure the team is too. Dansby Swanson looks like doesn't know what to do. I don't know any of these guys expected this. Something's got to turn around.
Yeah.
Just got to give Ian Happ credit. I mean, I have never been a huge Ian Happ fan. I've always liked him as a person.
Right.
I got to give the guy a lot of his due, man. I mean, he's the one guy that has put together these games that have given this team a chance to win. Bellinger needs to have a game like that. Suzuki needs to have a game like that. Dansby needs to do something at the plate instead of look like Jason Hayward 2.0. And the Cubs have to figure out what they're doing with the catching situation, because Amaya, not only is he hurting you at the plate, now he's hurting you with behind the plate. It's just that isn't working out. And it's the major leagues.
Yeah, exactly. I've got one more question for you before we jump off here. Mike Tauchman was obviously doing a lot of leadoff for the Cubs. If he's out for an extended period of time, do you go back to Happ up there? Do you go Horner up there? Do you let PCA try it? What are your thoughts on the leadoff spot moving forward?
I liked Happ in the leadoff spot.
That was when the offense was clicking. I don't know why we abandoned that.
I did. I mean, and I know he was struggling, but I think he was struggling with an injury. Pete Crow Armstrong one day will be a leadoff guy, but I don't think that day's now. I think he's still trying to figure out how to to hit at the major leagues. He does a lot of things right, but I don't know that he's that guy. If it was me, I'd probably start with Happ and then, maybe take a look at some of these other guys. But like Jed and Craig Counsell, I don't have the answers.
Yeah, exactly.
Everybody, and I got to say this, everybody's hitting me up about Moises Ballesteros getting promoted. Like maybe he could be the guy that could come up and be the catcher that can hit. He can hit better than Yan Gomes, and he can definitely hit better than Miguel Amaya. The problem is that he just can't catch that good. He's got a lot of work to do defensively.
Okay.
Talked about this on the call-in show the other day, and I'm just going to tell you guys, this is just my assessment, but he's got to get better at handling pitches, too many pass balls, too many balls that get by him. He didn't really play a lot at catcher. He was more of a DH first baseman and once in a while catcher until Pablo Aliendo got hurt. So now in Double-A, he was like all of a sudden playing every day. And, the running game was running crazy, which happens, these days. He had a lot of work to do behind the plate. But with that said, he was hitting a ton,
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens. But I don't think for a second that you could put this guy behind the plate in Chicago on an everyday basis or even once in a while basis and not have a lot of mistakes.
Yeah, and it's one of those things that I'm sure a lot of Cubs fans would say, like, at least he'd be giving us offense. Like Amaya and Gomes are terrible defensively, and they're costing us at the plate. We would take the mistakes defensively if the guy was hitting 300 like he is in the minor leagues. But
he'll hit. Yeah.
His call-up is certainly down the road, but potentially something we'll see sooner than originally forecasted. But that'll do it for us.
Let me say this last thing, because I don't want to bury the guy. He's a great hitter, really soft hands, able to put the ball where he wants it. Power, he even had a cycle last week, so he deserves this promotion. If I was the Cubs, I'd have Mark Johnson working with this guy a lot. Yeah. I'd just say, hey, you go up there and work with this guy. Let's put an education on him and see if we couldn't get him ready because we need his bat. They got Kyle Schwarber to the big leagues. Kyle had a lot more power than Ballesteros, but Ballesteros may be a better average hitter. But he's a really good player. He's just not to that point right now where I think that you could put him in the big leagues and have him catch.
Yeah, it'll be something to keep an eye on for sure as he progresses in AAA. Like we said, Cubs are looking for some answers. Hopefully some come soon. They got a chance to win a ball game today. So that'll do it for us on the Cubs Baseball channel. Make sure to like and subscribe. Follow us on Twitter. Jump in the comment section. Let us know how you're feeling about this team. Let us know who you'd like to see called up if Mike Tauchman goes on the injured list. And let us know on a scale of 1 to 10 how worried you are about the rest of the season. Because I think we're all pretty much 10s across the board. But we will talk to you guys tomorrow, hopefully after a Cubs win. Go Cubs.